In this video, you will learn how to create PowerPoint presentations using R and RMarkdown. There are other presentation options in RMarkdown and RStudio, but for this video, we will focus on PowerPoint presentations. We will see three ways of creating PowerPoint presentations. Number one, the default option. Number two, using custom template. Using Office down for further customization. Before we jump into creating these presentations, I would like to share with you a quick overview of PowerPoint and presentation design best practices from two books, Presentation Zen and Strategic Storytelling. Gar Reynolds, the author of Presentation Zen, recommends the use of full bleed background images with one sentence, a word, or a statistic. He also recommends using the rule of thirds to place the point of focus in the intersection of lines, dividing the slide into three equal sections, horizontally and vertically. We will see whether we can make that happen. He also suggests using simple charts to make your point. Although these types of presentations are better for keynotes, we will try to apply some of these principles. Dave McKinsey, the author of Strategic Storytelling, provides examples from top management consulting companies such as McKinsey and Accenture. He explains why these business presentations work. Some of the main points from this book are use of the Minto principle, use the slide title to make your point or ask a question, and use of the body content to support your point mentioned in the title. Let's talk about the Minto principle, also called the Minto pyramid. Barbara Minto was McKinsey Consulting's first female MBA professional. She invented the Minto pyramid to help consultants make effective business presentations. It provides a good structure for organizing your presentation content. You start with your main idea or recommendation. Then provide the supporting arguments with data and facts. Each supporting argument is further supported by more arguments and data. If you notice any of the consulting company's presentations, you will see that they have many charts, callouts, and notes with references. Now, with these presentation design best practices in mind, let's dive into creating PowerPoint presentations with R and RMarkdown. For this video, let's say that we are studying the streaming services market. Our client is a company trying to enter this market. Here's how we will structure the presentation. Slide number 2, our main recommendation. Slide number 3, survey of the market. We will show the share prices. Slide number 4, survey of the market with market share. Slide number 5, opportunities. Slide number 6, side-by-side comparison of two of the streaming services. Slide number 7, conclusion. Let's get started. First, let's make sure that you can build the example PowerPoint presentation given in RStudio. Here, I have a new project set up. To start a new Markdown document, click on File, New File, RMarkdown, then Presentation, and finally PowerPoint. I am typing my title, or I'm giving my title as Streaming Services Market Study, and the author is Best Brian's Consulting. It is Brian's and not Brain's, given after the movie Life of Brian. Let's make sure that this document compiles and gives us a nice PowerPoint presentation. Click on the Knit button, save your file. If everything works out, we should have a new PowerPoint presentation. Not bad. Let's edit the RMarkdown document with our content. Let's change the knitter options to cache the data and suppress warnings and messages. Our first slide has recommendations. I'm copying and pasting these recommendations I had saved earlier. Our next slide has data with share prices of the companies in this space. Following the strategic storytelling book example, the title of our slide is Companies such as Netflix have cemented their roles as streaming entertainment providers. I have some R code here to pull the historical share prices of Netflix, Disney, Comcast, AT&T, and this code shows a ggplot multiple line plot. This plot could certainly be made prettier and more valuable with annotations, but for this exercise it is good enough. To make your line graphs prettier, check my other video on the same topic. Our next slide is the market share data. I again added some R code to create a tree map of market share data using ggplot and tree amplify packages. This chart could also be made better, but for now this will do. The next slide is a chart from a website showing opportunities. I have used include_graphics from the knitter package to add this image. I have also added a caption by using fig.cap option. Next slide is a case study of Disney Plus versus Netflix. I am using a 2-column layout using a special pandoc syntax. Within each column, I have a column header and a bulleted list. I also added the source of this data in the first column. Lastly, we have the conclusion slide with one sentence. Let's hit the knit button and see what happens. A quick look shows that the PowerPoint presentation has the line plot and the tree map we generated using ggplot. It also has that external image that we provided using a URL. It created the 2-column layout as well. This looks great. But you notice some other problems too. Page numbers are missing. The aspect ratio by default is not 16:9 widescreen. The slide titles are aligned in the center and the long title doesn't fit neatly. Both the charts are taking the same smallish space. And the conclusion slide looks really bland. We can resolve some of these issues by providing our custom PowerPoint template. Let's create a new PowerPoint presentation. To create this template, on this computer, the default slide size is the widescreen 16:9. Now let's edit the layouts. Go to View and click on Slide Master. Here you will see all the default layout options. RMarkdown and Pandoc currently support only these 4 layouts: title, title and content, section header, and 2-column layout. That means we can customize only these 4 layouts. Let's edit the master slide first. Click on the Click to Edit text box. Change the font type to your liking. I am selecting Lato for the title. Next, I'm selecting Corbel for the body or content area. Let's add some custom text boxes in the footer for date and page numbers. Insert the date and slide number from the Insert menu. change the font type and size. Then we need to delete all the existing boxes or footers. But let's add a logo in the center of the slide. I created this simple logo using logomaker.com. Let's also change the background color of the slides to something light. I found this palette on coolers.co. I chose this specific hex as the background color, which is a light blue color. Now we'll go to background styles, format background, click on color, then more colors, and apply the background color. Let's also change the color of the slide title. I chose this specific hex. We will save the template document. And now let's hit the knit button again to see the results. It looks pretty good. The contrast isn't the best between the title and the background color, but it looks nice. The only thing I want to change now is to increase the size of the graphs. Let's change the aspect ratio to 0.6 and the DPI to 300. You can change the font type of the plots to match your presentation font type by using the show text library, but I leave that for you as an exercise. If you have a simple presentation, this can work very well. You pull all your data in one place, create your charts, and add recommendations. You can of course edit the PowerPoint later, but for repeatability, we want to keep as many things in RMarkdown as possible. One disadvantage of this approach using Pandoc is that we are limited to only 4 layouts. If you wanted to add one title and one subtitle to your layout, it won't work. Another disadvantage is an image or table cannot exist with other content. If you add content to a slide that already has a chart or an image, it will get pushed to a new slide. You can get around this problem using Patchwork or similar libraries to place side-by-side graphs, tables, and text, but that may not give you the best resolution. We also cannot add random text or callouts. There is an option to add background images only for HTML presentations, but it doesn't work for PowerPoint. Let's explore the Office and Office Down libraries for further customization. You can use the Office Down in the markup as Office Down : rpptx underscore document and provide a template. But I have not found the exact advantages of doing so. Instead of creating an RMarkdown file, we will create a R file and build the PowerPoint presentation one slide at a time. So this is a different approach from what we have been doing so far. This is pure R code compared to the Markdown code. Let's load the Officer and Magister libraries. Next, we will load our template file using the read_pptx function and a variable called my_ppt. Using the layout summary function, we can check all the layouts available to us. Let's add a new layout with one text box and increase the font size to 80 in PowerPoint. Let's rename this layout to one big number. Let's save this PowerPoint template and read this file again. Now when we run layout summary, we see that this new layout is available to us. The layout properties function lets us see the available content areas we can change using the R code. This is an important function. Notice the PH type argument value. We need to use the value of the PH type to set the content. This will be easier with an example. Let's create our first slide with the presentation title slide. To add a slide, we use add_slide function. To this function, we specify the layout and the theme to use. To add content, we use ph_width function. The value argument of this function specifies the content. And now the important part, where do we want the content to go? To find the location, we use ph_location_type function and pass the type we saw in ph_type function. For the opening title slide, the box is called CTR title. Now let's add our title to this location and also add the author to the ph type of subtitle. Let's save this new presentation using the print command. The document is now ready. Let's open and see it. We can see the title and subtitle where we want them. Success for now. Let's add the second slide with recommendations. But let's check the available shape types using the layout properties function for the title and content layout. We can see that we have a title and body types available for this layout. Let's add recommendations as the title and pass the bullet points for this slide as a vector to the body location. Let's save the document again and see what it looks like. Perfect. Next, add slide with the share prices chart, but we need to create this chart first. I am using the same code that we used in the R Markdown, but saving the chart in a ggplot object called share prices plot. We will again use title and body locations to add this plot and the title. The only difference is that we can provide the resolution of the chart. Let's save the chart and see how it looks. You can see that the chart is using all the content space, and for this graph it actually looks really nice. But when I repeat the same code for the market share plot, it doesn't exactly look great. We can create a new layout or using an existing layout such as the picture with caption layout. With the default RMarkdown pandoc option, we can place an image text side by side, but let's try with the officer package and the picture with caption layout. First, let's check what locations are available to us. We have body, title, and pic. Let's add the year-over-year market share comparison chart from the wrap article in the pic location and some text in the body location. Let's add this slide and save the file again. Great. I don't like the location of the source text. I want to move it closer to the footer. To do so, I need to create a style or properties I want to apply to this text. We will use fp_text function to make the text color light gray and set the font size to 8. We will name this variable source_box_style. To add a text box at any location, we want to provide the text box location using the left, top, and other coordinates to the ph_location function. And to get the text box to show up on the slide, we need to use the fpar function, which creates a paragraph object for PowerPoint. In fpar, we will wrap our source text and provide the style property we created earlier with the ftext function. Here are the steps again to create a text box. Number 1, define style or properties. Decide and provide the coordinates to ph_location function. Format the given text using the style and ftext function. And finally, wrap the ftext call in fpar function to create a paragraph object. I know these are a lot of steps, but when you actually do them, it will become easier. You can find the location coordinates by manually creating a text box in PowerPoint and try moving it. To make it easier, I save the location object in a variable called sourceBoxLocation. Now let's run and save the PowerPoint presentation. It looks really nice. Using the same principle, let's create a callout box and add it to the share prices slide. I created a new style called callout_box_style and the location callout_box_location. To select the slide with share prices, we need to use on_slide function and provide the slide number. Let's make this change and then save the presentation again. It is exactly where I wanted it. Of course, it would be easier to draw the text box later in PowerPoint, but this gives us an additional tool to place text boxes with dynamic content at our chosen locations. For the final addition, I would like to add a background image that bleeds into the slide and add some text on it. We will use the one big number layout we created earlier. Let's check the layout properties again. We see the property name is one big number. I downloaded a photo from Unsplash, named it tv-3.jpg, whose path I'm storing in the bg_image_path variable. Next, let's add a slide using the add_slide function and one big number as the layout. Then we will use the ph_width function to place the external image and 13.38 as the width and height, which I found out after playing in PowerPoint with this image. We will use ph_location_full size function to return the proper dimensions from the slide layout. Lastly, we will use another ph_width function to add the text of 31% drop at the text placeholder location. The 31% drop is how much Netflix saw its market share drop from last year to this year. And we will save the presentation. Let's take a look. The text looks nice, but the image is not exactly where I want it. I will align the image to the center manually for now. With that, I will stop the modifications and summarize our process. We created a PowerPoint presentation using the default knitter options. It worked well, but didn't offer customization. Therefore, we created a PowerPoint template to make the presentation look better, and it did. But for more control, we looked at the Officer package and created our own layout and placed objects where we wanted them. I really hope this helps you when you're trying to create PowerPoint presentations using R and RMarkdown. Please leave any questions or comments in the comment area below. Thank you.